Jagrative. Jaya Masters. Sometimes it's nice to talk very deep but very simple. Instead of staying in the muck and mire of where we're caught, we will discuss why that's there and why we're caught. But I want to start for the other end. And don't think about it. I'm just going to start very high and very deep. But we'll come down, don't worry. There are two things that matter. Consciousness and object of consciousness. That's really it. You can break it up into all the myriad objects of consciousness. Your children, your wife, your spouse, your school, your degrees, your everything. Those are objects of consciousness. There are things that you are aware of. You're aware that this happened to you. You're aware that who you're married to or not. You're aware you got divorced. You're aware of a lot of things. There's awareness, and there's the things you're aware of. Can I start there? Because that's the truth. If you weren't aware, you wouldn't know they happened. They're nothing. They're not in your consciousness, not in your awareness. So it requires awareness, consciousness, and an object of consciousness, an event, an experience, something that you are aware of. That's what's going on. There's nothing else going on. No matter what it is you experience, it's something you are aware of. Otherwise, you don't know what happened. It's not an issue. So you shouldn't get lost there. Now, what are the objects of consciousness? Where did they come from? And what is consciousness? Where did it come from? Because those are different things. Awareness is a thing. You are aware. What you're aware of is a thing. Sometimes they're called subject-object. Subject is always the awareness itself, and the object what you're aware of. Sometimes it's called consciousness and an object of consciousness. Sometimes it's called awareness and what you're experiencing with your awareness. If you want to grow spiritually, you have to understand that, not believe it. Why? You are it. Why would you believe what you are? Are you aware? How do you know you're aware? I'm giving you a quiz. How do you know you're aware? That's a stupid question, isn't it? I wouldn't have heard you if I'm not aware. I am awareness. Awareness, consciousness, same thing. So there's the awareness. You know, they often call consciousness the light of consciousness. The light of consciousness. Why? Because the properties of consciousness are very similar to the properties of light. What does that mean? Like if I have a Kleenex box, the properties of a Kleenex box are not similar to light or consciousness. Why? It just sits there. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't know nothing. It just sits there. But light, if you take a source of light, it doesn't just sit there, does it? It emanates out. It shines on things. The Kleenex box doesn't. Your hand doesn't. Your eyes don't. Light has a source, and it emanates. It shines away from itself, projects away from itself, like the sun. The sun is a beautiful example of light. It's sitting out there in the middle of outer space, been there, by the way, for 4.5 billion years, doing the same exact thing, throwing off light. And the light emanates in every direction, doesn't it? The sun doesn't go anywhere, but its light comes down to earth, goes everywhere. That's a very amazing quality of light. Form doesn't have that. Light does. It emanates out. Consciousness has that property. What do you mean? Where is your consciousness? On your toe? It's here, isn't it? Don't you look from here? Okay? You are projecting your consciousness out onto objects, onto your thoughts. Can you be aware of a thought and then decide not to be aware of it and shift your consciousness somewhere else? Can you feel an emotion start to come up that you don't want to feel and shift your awareness off that emotion? Don't worry, it'll come back, but shift your awareness off the emotion. You do it all the time. Can you look at a picture and then decide you want to look at something else? Can you move your consciousness, your awareness? Picture didn't have to move. You moved your awareness onto different thoughts, onto different emotions, and onto different objects outside. That's like a light shining on things. A light can be here and it can shine there. And then it can turn and shine there, and it can shine there, it can shine there. That's what your consciousness is doing. It's aiming itself. It's focusing itself. Can a light focus? Can a light be laser sharp? And can a light be broad beam? You go to a store. You buy a broad beam spotlight, 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree. How broad is the band of the spotlight, all right? Or it could be 10 degree. Well, that's like just boom, all right? Your consciousness does that, doesn't it? Can't you just completely concentrate on something? You just naturally draw your attention there. You get lost in thought. Well, when you're lost in thought, are you listening to anybody? Are you aware of what's going on outside? No. Why? Because the exact same awareness, light of consciousness, is shining on your thoughts and not shining on the outside world. You can make it if somebody goes, pay attention. Well, sorry. All right? And what shifts? The world didn't shift. Nothing changed. You focused your consciousness onto a different object of consciousness. Do you understand? This is the most important thing that could ever be discussed in the history of the universe. If you shift your consciousness, I swear, some of it is so deep, it makes me cry. Because you're able to do this. If you shift your attention, your consciousness, your awareness off the object, back to the source of consciousness, where did it come from? Where did your consciousness come from? How did you get to be conscious? Where is it? What is it? The yogis who went very, very deep say that consciousness is God. That is what you mean by God. That the entire universe is made of energy, and that energy is what we call Chit Shakti, conscious energy. The same thing. It's the same thing. When they go down to the quantum field, those of you who get into physics, Einstein equals mc squared, all of that is saying everything's made of energy. The quantum field is everywhere and emanates out of that quantum field of energy. Particles would put themselves together into atoms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what's going on. All of physics says that. All countries agree. That's what's going on. That's the standard model. It's called the standard model of physics. Okay? Yoga, from the beginning of thousands of years ago, the Upanishads, the Puranas, et cetera, how do they know all that? Thousands of years before Einstein, before anybody. Sat there and said the entire universe is made of energy. Whoa, it's written. The entire universe is made of energy, but they went further. Consciousness has a force. Consciousness itself, awareness itself, has a force, and that force is the energy you're seeing. Therefore, they called it Chit Shakti, not separate forces, energy and consciousness. Chit Shakti, they're the same thing. Conscious energy is the force. Just like those of you, again, that are into any sort of physics, understand 1800s, 1900s, whatever, they thought that electricity and magnetism were two different forces. They found out they are the same force. It's called electromagnetism. It's the electromagnetic force. If you take a magnet and you twirl it around, it makes electricity. If you take electricity and you twirl it around, it makes a magnet. That's what your generators are. They're giant coils spinning around magnets, creating electricity. All they're doing is playing with the same force, electromagnetism. That is what the great masters from thousands of years ago said the universe is Chit Shakti, conscious energy. They are the same thing. So when I tell you the most important thing you can ever pay attention to is what is consciousness, but nobody does that. They're so lost in the object of consciousness, even our scientists. Instead of sitting there asking, how do I know that I see this experiment? Nobody's asking that. They're just, I'm on the experiment. It's like a fish in water. The fish doesn't know it's in water because it's never been out. So we just accept consciousness for granted. It's just everyone's conscious and worry about what you're conscious of. Yoga doesn't worry about what you're conscious of. True yoga says, who is looking at the mind's thoughts? What is looking through the eyes? What is consciousness? Not what you're conscious of. What is consciousness itself? When you've ever heard of enlightenment, that is enlightenment. Enlightenment is not you're very intelligent, you read the Bible backward and forward, the Gita backward and forward. No, that's not enlightenment. That's mental study that you're aware of. Enlightenment is when the conscious itself returns to the sun. The rays of the sun that are emanating in the earth lighting things up, instead of paying attention to what they're lighting up, you're paying attention to what is the light and where's it coming from. That is yoga. That is true yoga. That question of not what am I conscious of, Not what are my thoughts, not what is my body, not what is the world out there. Fine, it's out there, I know, because I'm conscious. How am I conscious? Where did my consciousness come from? What is it? What's it made of? What's its nature? That is what yoga studies. That is what the great masters studied and spoke about. What did they find out? I told you, I'm going to go deep, then we'll come back down. What did the great masters find out? Ramakrishna, Sai Baba, Christ, Buddha, okay? Doesn't matter what religion you're dealing with. What did the great ones find out? I'll use Meher Baba, a great enlightened master, all right? He said, I used to be conscious of me. I was conscious of my thoughts, I was conscious of my feelings, I was conscious of my body, and I was conscious of what was in front of me. So there was this drop of consciousness that was looking out, being light of consciousness. It's shining out. It's illumining the thoughts, it's illumining the feelings, it's illumining the world that you're looking at. That's why you're conscious, that's why you see it. When I went far enough back and let go of what I'm conscious of and focused on the consciousness itself, back at that drop, that place where consciousness comes from, I fell backwards. And that which was the drop fell into the ocean and could never be found again. Christ said, my Father and I are one. That is what it means. That your consciousness, individual focus of consciousness that was focused on this, stop being focused on this. And you know what I mean by this, right? Your everyday everything. And fell back into the ocean of consciousness. I'll tell you something, I know why I'm talking about this. Every single drop of consciousness is exactly the same. Your consciousness is the same as his consciousness, same as her consciousness, same as everybody's consciousness. Consciousness is a thing. It has a quality, awareness. It's aware of things. Your awareness is the same as hers. What you're aware of is not the same. See the difference? The light is the same. The light from the sun is the same. It's all the same light. It falls on different objects and illumines them, and that seems like it's different because it's illuminating this, illuminating that, illuminating that. But if you step off the object, you will realize that every single bit of light is the same. Physics will teach you. I love physics. Why? It's very spiritual. Most of you don't study this stuff. All right, I don't study it, but I at least know enough to talk about it. What is light? It's a photon. Light is a photon. Well, what about neon light? What about infrared light? It doesn't matter. They're photons. There's a force in the universe. One of the fundamental force in the universe is a photon. It travels in waves. That photon is exactly the same. I don't care if you live in China. I don't care if you go to Mars. I don't care what you do. That is what light is. A force. That photon is a force. All right, a boson is a force that travels in waves, and that's why you see light. That's what light is. Consciousness is all the same. There is no difference between anyone's quality of consciousness. It is awareness. It's the things in the universe. So when Meher Baba said, my drop of consciousness, why is it a drop? Let's not call it a drop. Let's call it a focal point. What is a focal point? It's everywhere, but it focuses on something. Therefore, it makes a point. You can focus. Light can focus. So your consciousness can focus. So it's focused on your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and what you see through your senses. That's what it's focused on. So it's very pointed. It's very one-pointed. You. When Meher Baba fell back behind that, got back to that point, and then let go, died to be reborn. I tell you, I'm a nice Jewish yogi. I could just sit here and quote Christ all night. Why? Because Christ was a fully enlightened, highest being that walked the face of the earth. From a yogic point of view, when Yogananda came over here back in 1920-something to talk at the Conference of Religions up in Boston, he said Christ belongs to the yogi. Why would you say that? Because the state that Christ was in and what he said and taught is the essence of yoga. What does that mean, my Father and I are one? Well, I don't know, what does Meher Baba mean when he said, I fell back behind, and that which was a drop became the ocean. That which was a focal point of consciousness, okay, the light was shining on me, fell back into the source of consciousness. That's enlightenment. People walk around saying, I'm enlightened. Don't believe them. They shouldn't say it. In the new book, toward the end, I said, please don't say you're enlightened. And when I had my interview with Oprah in the book, Oprah's very beautiful, very deep. She just said that's one of her favorite parts of the book. Right? People run around saying they're enlightened, wanting to have a spiritual ego. What did Lao Tzu say? Those who say don't know, and those who know don't say. That's why. So don't use that word. Leave that word. When you have become one with the universe and stay there, Meher Baba had to be taught how to come back so that he could teach because he was merged with the universe. When Yogananda, you read Autobiography Yogi, there's a chapter called My Experience in Cosmic Consciousness, where Yukteswar blessed him, touched him, and he went out. He merged. He said, my body was every galaxy. It was spreading on the speed of light in every direction. I was one with everything. My Father and I are one. That is what yoga means, union. Yoga translates into union. That is the union of the individual, the Atman, into the Paramatma. That's what it's all about. You go back to the ancient teachings. So your consciousness is the same as Christ's, is the same as Buddha's, is the same as Meher Baba's. And guess what they all told you? That. They said that. No, Christ didn't say that. He did so. He said, as I sit by the throne of my Father, there, let's say, he has to use words you understand. In other words, I'm merged. I'm one with God. My Father and I are one. As I sit by the throne of my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. And these things that I do, you should do these and even greater things. In other words, your consciousness is awesome. You're awesome. You're beyond awesome. When the Bible says man was created in the image of God, that's what it's talking about. Your consciousness is everything, and you are capable of returning to that state. Now we're going to talk about that. I'm sorry if I upset anybody or lost anybody, right? I'm not trying to teach physics or metaphysics or anything like that. It's like, you're a very great being. What's looking through your eyes is literally, and this isn't a bad practice if you're ready, right? Look what you see. Now understand that the universal consciousness, God, that which is universal, omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent, is what's looking through your eyes. It's the same consciousness. Muktananda Baba. Meditate on the self, meaning that point from which you see, not what you see, what sees, what is the center of consciousness. Meditate on the self. Honor and worship your own being, for God dwells within you as you. Every one of the masters taught the same thing, including Christ. And when he said you must die to be reborn, what he's saying is you are now very, and we're going to work our way back down now to your everyday life, you are very focused on yourself. All we are paying attention to is our own thoughts. Who wants to deny that? You pay attention to her thoughts? No, you pay attention to your own thoughts. You don't have to. Just like the light can shine anywhere, that consciousness can pay attention to anything. But it doesn't. It pays attention to your own thoughts. And you have trouble having it not pay attention to your thoughts, don't you? Your thoughts capture your... Now, we might as well work our way back down. This is called the fall from the garden. Do your thoughts capture your consciousness? So you're just mind your own business. There aren't thoughts that come in and remember what happened yesterday, what somebody said to you, or this happened, next thing you know, that's what you're paying attention to. It just captures your consciousness. It pulls you into it, doesn't it? Do thoughts have the power to pull you? How about your emotions? You're going about your business, all of a sudden an emotion comes up, somebody says something. Do you kind of pay attention to that emotion, kind of get lost in there a little bit? Does it pull on you? That is the object of consciousness capturing your attention. If you didn't pay attention to it, it wouldn't matter, would it? You're driving down the street and all of a sudden your mind says, remember when my mother did that? She said to me that really hurt me really bad when I was 12? You just go right through. You just keep driving. That's how it happens, does it? No, you get on the train of thoughts, and all of a sudden, that's where you are. Back 20 years ago when mommy does this and does that, and your thought just captured your attention. Because they captured your consciousness, maybe that's too mystical for you. Did it capture your attention? Do your emotions capture your attention? Do your thoughts capture your attention? Does your body capture your attention? All those little backaches and feelings, and does it capture your attention? See it? So now your thoughts capture your attention. Remember what I said attention was? Consciousness. Remember I said what consciousness was? A light that can focus or not focus. Well, that's a very great state. Not focus. But it does focus, doesn't it? Your thoughts pull you right into them. Your emotions pull you right into them. Every little feeling of your body, good, bad, this, that, and the other thing, boom, pulls you right into it. That is the fall from the garden. You're being pulled out of deep consciousness, God, down to personal consciousness, so that now all you experience is yourself. I told you this is a tough talk. I'm sorry. All you experience all day is yourself. What do you think? What do you see? Why did you see it? Why is it that? You say, no, I don't. Oh, really? Does your mind think all day? Why did you say that? I don't know. Did I do anything wrong? I don't do anything wrong. Oh my God. Anybody talk about doing things wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I hurt somebody? Oh, I don't want to hurt anybody. I wouldn't. Should I tell them that I didn't mean to? What's that? That's not God. That's God watching that. And since I happen to like God and I'm very devoted, I say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you have to watch that. I mean, my God, you poor thing. You made the whole universe. You're everywhere, and you got to watch that. I'm so sorry. That's what happens when you realize that your consciousness is divine consciousness. It is. It's just so focused on you that you got lost in you. So that now if I sit there and ask you, who are you? If you're in a deep yogic state and studying the deep teachings and so on, and you go to one of these great beings and you ask them, who are you? If they're from India, a lot of them are from India, right, because the yoga comes from there and they work on it, they would say, who are you? Aham Brahmasmi. What do you mean? I said, who are you? Aham Brahmasmi. What does that mean? I am Brahma. What's Brahma? God. The whole universe. Or Shiva Hum. I am Shiva. All right? That's who they realized they were. You wish. Okay? If I asked you, who are you? I'm Sally Wilson, and I live at 150312. You're a tiny little thing. You said this divine consciousness that can go anywhere and is merged with the whole universe is caught in your thoughts. Is caught in this one little tiny body. I'm this and I don't feel good today. I'm the one who's hungry and I ate something that I didn't like and it made me sick and I haven't felt well. I. Right? That's who your I, isn't it? It's this little tiny little thing. That's because your consciousness, your awareness of being is fixated on this. What's this? This body, this sense, what the senses pick up, this tiny little thing. Right now, look what you're seeing. I see you looking at me. You pick up this little bit, right? What are you missing? Everything, everywhere. You're only picking up what you're seeing. And then that programs you, doesn't it? I like to talk. I didn't like to talk. Why is he sitting in a chair? You used to sit on the floor. All these things go on in your head, okay? And then it's I. Yeah, I went there and I kind of liked a little bit. It was interesting. But I got a little, what is that? There's just your consciousness paying attention to these thoughts. What thoughts? Just whatever ones happen to pop up. And they're very limited. Right now, how many things are going on that are not right here? Outside, in Gainesville, in Florida, in North America, in Europe, on the planet Earth. How many things? 100 billion zillion. And you're experiencing this one. And that's all you know. And that's all you care about. And that's all you talk about. Do you see the fall? If you are great and your consciousness is expansive and it includes all things, but you focus it on a little finger, this little tiny little nothing all the time, then consciousness identifies with what it focuses on. That's why an enlightened master says, I am he. My Father and I are one. That's what Aham Brahmasmi, you don't have to learn the Sanskrit words or anything, but Aham Brahmasmi means my Father and I are one. I am Brahma. I am the creator of the universe. I am everything. Right? That's not the ego being, but here's an ego for you. My God, how dare he say something like that? It's blasphemy. No, not if he's enlightened. Then it's not blasphemy. It's the truth. He's not identified with this thing. He's identified with the source of consciousness. See the difference? It has a source that it focuses. If you identify with what it's focusing on, then it says, I'm Mary Wilson and I'm 43 years old. Well, who were you yesterday when you were 42.53? Because you just told me you're 43. You didn't exist last year when you were 42? It gets confusing, doesn't it? You're identified with what you're looking at. You're identified with the past experiences you had, aren't you? That's who I am, the person who did this in the past and was married to someone, and we got divorced. No, that's what happened to you. That's what your consciousness paid attention to. That's not who you are. You are the consciousness that was aware of those situations. Were you aware that you got married and were filled with love and it was wonderful standing at the altar? Were you aware that you got divorced and you're throwing things at each other and you thank God it wasn't knives and you're sitting opposite with lawyers? And is it not the same awareness? And you're identifying, you just keep adding experiences that you've had to the definition of you. That's not who you are. You are the one that experienced the experience. And it's always the same consciousness. Were you in there when you were 10? When you looked in the mirror, did you see what you see now, or did you see a 10-year-old? It's the same consciousness. It's just what you're conscious of that changes constantly. And then you build this concept of yourself in your mind out of thoughts. Psychology agrees. They say it's called a self-concept. You ever heard of that word, self-concept? What is a self-concept? That collection of thoughts that you held in your mind, that you stared at with your consciousness, that you said, this is who I am. That's my self-concept. I'm the one that won the beauty queen when I was 17 and so on. But then I fell down and I broke my nose and I never looked as good ever more. That's who you are, or that's what happened to you. You are the consciousness that experienced these things. But what happens is the experiences we have leave impressions on our body sometimes, and they leave impressions on our mind, they leave impressions on our emotions. We hold them inside, we suppress them, we hold on to them, and now they keep coming back up. I'm the one that I had this terrible experience when I was young, 43 years ago, and I just can't let it go, and it bothered me all the time, and I had bad dreams. That is not who you are. You are the one that experienced it 43 years ago and couldn't let it go. You didn't let it pass through your consciousness, and therefore you held on to it. So now this thing you're holding on to is stealing your consciousness. You think about it all the time. You define yourself as this. I don't know, we got married, but I don't know if I love her like I used to, and maybe I shouldn't stay together, but I only have one life. I got to be true to myself and so on. But I don't know, we have children. Who's that? Who's that? That's not you. You're the one who's paying attention to that. You don't have to pay attention to it. You just let it go. Let it go. Like, okay, big deal. It's talking. Just passes through, right? What if it did? Then you would be left further back inside. So the main thing I said to you is these thoughts attract your consciousness. They steal your consciousness. They pull your consciousness into them like a loud sound outside. You're not listening to me. Boom! You're outside real quick, aren't you? A flash of light. What's that? It captures your consciousness. It captures your awareness. Your thoughts, you are addicted to your thoughts. I'm sorry. You're completely addicted to your thoughts. If they say jump, you jump. If you go somewheres and all of a sudden your thought goes, I don't like it here. I'm not comfortable here. I don't like it here. I want to leave. You leave. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard of. It's just a thought. It's just a mind saying a thought. This has nothing to do with you. You are the consciousness that is aware of the thought. I feel bad vibes. Who does? Who feels bad vibes? The consciousness. The consciousness doesn't have bad vibes. It's feeling bad vibes. It's experiencing bad vibes. Fine. Feel bad vibes. Who cares? Just let it go. Let it go. Can you let it go? And the answer is no. And let's just be honest. You can't just let it go. If all of a sudden your mind says, I'm on a date, and all of a sudden the mind says, boy, I really like her or like him. This could really be something, right? And then you kind of flirt a little bit and get all interested and so on. And then you get home and you say, I don't know. He slurped his soup. My father used to slurp his soup. I don't want to hear from him. God, I hope he doesn't call me. I hope he doesn't call. What are you doing? Those thoughts are not you. You are aware of those thoughts. You are the awareness. I'm going to cry. You are the awareness. You're busy caring about what you're aware of. You are the awareness itself. That is the spiritual path. That is the spiritual path. That is what it means to become conscious. You're already conscious. You're all conscious. You've been conscious from the beginning. All right? And then you're worried about what you're conscious of. Everything's about what am I conscious of. Certain things make me feel good. What does that mean? My consciousness feels something, an object that feels good. Certain things make me feel bad. What does that mean? My awareness is aware that there's a bad feeling in front of me. What do you do about that? Everything. Everything. You sell out 100%. If it made me feel good, I want to own it. I want to keep it. I want to grab it. I want to cling to it. You better get away from it and don't you talk to it. And if it feels bad, I don't want to do this. I don't have nothing to do with it. I'm not. In other words, you let the fact that it felt good or felt bad run your life. Don't worry, everybody does. You literally let it run your life instead of asking, who felt that? It felt good. Fine. Who noticed that it felt good? What's that consciousness, that awareness of being? Nobody will stay there. Why? Because it's so powerful that it pulls you into it. It felt good and I want it again. And you're saying I is the one that wants it. yoga is always, spirituality is about who knows that you know this. What is the consciousness that is aware that the heart opened? What is the consciousness aware that the heart closed? What is the consciousness aware that somebody said something to me and now my mind is freaking all over the place? How do you know? How do you know your heart hurts? How do you know your mind's bothering you? How do you know? I can't sleep. All these things are bothering me and they come up and I feel, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know that's happening? That is the question. That solves everything. How do you know that your mind is bothering you? How do you know your heart hurts? Who's that I who's in there that feels it? Because that one doesn't have jealousy and that one doesn't have fear and that one is completely perfect. The consciousness is the highest thing in the universe. But you won't do that. You get pulled into the object of consciousness constantly. The thoughts, the feelings, the body, the this, the that, they just pull it all down there. And the next thing you know, you're so lost. What are you lost in? Me. I lost being me. Being this tiny little human that has to have things. I have to have things the way I want them. Why? Otherwise my heart hurts. Otherwise my mind bothers me. How about you? And I better figure out what I want and I better get it. Right? Otherwise something's wrong. There I am. My consciousness is not this expansive, great, unbelievable thing, force of oneness. It is this tiny little thing lost inside of this mind, these emotions, this body, and what I've experienced, isn't it? So now you have a real good groundwork for understanding what spirituality is. Spirituality is going from this lost, addicted state to expansive, to open, back to the source of consciousness, the source of the light, not what the light is shining on. Oh, I like when it shines on this. It's really pretty. I don't like when it shines on that. What is it that's shining? What is consciousness? That is your journey back. That is the fall from the garden. How do you know? When you get deep enough inside and all you feel is ecstasy and just waves of joy, of ecstasy all the time, and then you notice when the ego opens its big fat mouth and says, I don't like what she said, you have a choice. Hang out with the ecstasy or pay attention to the stupid ego. What happens if you don't like what she said? You don't feel no ecstasy anymore, do you? You fell from the garden. You fell down into this human, right? The subtitle of the new book is Beyond the Human Predicament. You are not a human being. You just happen to be aware of one. You're aware of something that has thoughts, and the thoughts are all tied together with the experiences you had, what came in through your eyes, not somebody else's. And you have these emotions and feelings which are programmed by the experiences you had. And you have this tiny little body. There's 7.5 billion of them running around the earth right now. And there have been a lot more that have come and gone, and you're going to come and go too. And you're not this body. It's okay to have one. It's okay to deal with it. But you are the consciousness that has fallen down far enough to where you fell down into the human. You fell down into this mind. You fell down in this personal, not the mind. The mind's a wonderful thing. The personal mind. What do I want? What do I not want? What do I like? What happened to me before that hurt me? Oh my God, what am I going to do? Should I talk to her or not? Should I avoid? There's a call. Look who's on the caller ID. I don't want to talk to. Whoa, you going to live with that? That doesn't sound like much fun, is it? It's crazy. I can remember early in my life where I noticed he's scared. When? He's always scared. He was very successful. He'd do all kinds of things. But the guy in there, he's afraid if he says something to somebody. How many of you can have a conversation with somebody when you walk away, there aren't thoughts going through your head about what got said or what you want to said, and should you have said that? And maybe, oh my God, I forgot to say that. Anybody? Pay attention. Pay attention. You'll notice. It's not that much fun being in there. Because I go through it in great detail in the new book. Basically, you are programmed with the things that didn't make it through you. Most of this earth just passes through you. All the trees, the grass, the clouds, right? Everything just comes and goes. You don't keep it all, do you? But every once in a while, something didn't feel too good or felt really good. If it didn't feel too good or felt really good, you don't want to let it go, do you? You don't want it to have happened, so you push it away, or you cling to it, and then it stays inside your mind. It stays inside your heart, it stays inside your mind. These samskaras, these patterns that you stored inside yourself. and it's very hard to live in there. And then what do? You struggle to be okay. How? By coming back to God? By letting go of all this garbage you fell into and returning to the seat of consciousness, then falling back behind into what Buddha called nirvana and Christ called heaven? A really nice place. Is that what you do? No. What I do is look to see what you guys can do to make me feel better. And then try to manipulate you by what I wear and what I say and all the degrees after my name and the car I drive and the clothes I wear. I try to get you all to be the way I need you to be so that I feel better. And you spend your whole life doing that. Spend your entire life, instead of going back to God, instead of returning to the source, instead of going back to where it's beautiful. Again, in yoga, there's a name for God. It's my favorite name for God. Yeah, you could call it Brahma, call it this, that, the other thing, right? It's called Satchitananda. That is literally a name for the divine force. Sat, Chit, Ananda. What does that mean? Eternal, Sat, conscious, Chit, ecstasy. That's your Lord. Eternal, conscious ecstasy. How would they know that? Because they fell into it. Because when they let go of their personal self, they fell into nirvana. That's what happened to Buddha. That's what happened to all the great masters. That's the nature of the divine consciousness. It's in a state of ecstasy, pure ecstasy. Woo! That would be a little bit nicer than having to go out there and fight with everybody else to say what you want them to say and wear what you want them to wear and be the way you want them to be, isn't it? So instead of coming back to what's inside of you, which is the greatest thing that could possibly exist, you go down further. You go down into the world. So enough you got trouble with your mind and your heart. Now you go into the world to solve your problems. If I can go on a vacation to Hawaii and there's not a volcano going on, and then the hotel is nice and there's no roaches and everything is good and the food is good, if all those things can happen, then I'll be okay. If I can find somebody who loves me to pieces and adores me and acts that way and just dotes all over me and drives a really, really nice car, like a Rolls Royce. No, not a Rolls Royce, a Prius or a Tesla or something. I don't know, a Rolls Royce. It's like you got this stuff, these concepts and views that you built inside, and if things don't match it, you feel pain, and so you go outside and try to make it be the way you want it to be. That's what you do. And you'll do your entire life, you'll do that. Your grandparents are doing it, your great-parents are doing it, your parents are doing it, everybody's doing it. It's like they're trying to get what they want and avoid what they don't want. How's that? That's what everybody's doing. Because that will make them feel better inside. But look what you have to struggle to make that happen. You'll never succeed. Instead, the great teachings are so beautiful. And saying, what are you doing? You're the highest thing to walk the face of the earth. You're just busy staring at something that's not. It's got problems, it's afraid, and it's scared, and it's jealous, and insecurity, and it needs this and needs that. Here I found the person who makes me feel love all the time. It dotes all over. Why is he talking to her? It's all it takes, isn't it? Come on, just a tiniest little thing that's not the way you want it to be. Especially when you open to somebody. If you really say, okay, you are my soulmate. I found my soulmate. There's 7.5 billion people on the earth, and I went everywhere. I checked them all out. And I know you're it. I don't understand. You find somebody that you feel, somebody says that, I felt more love for this person than I've ever felt my whole life. You ever had a relationship before? Yeah, I've had many of them. Did you think they were serious? Yeah, they were the finest I ever had too. Well, how do you know there's not another one? Careful. You better not make that commitment, because this may be the most love you ever felt, but you said that before about Sally and about this and that. So there could be somebody else in China or Yugoslavia or anything. And the result is, what chance do you have? You're going to drive yourself crazy. And what you're doing is trying to find something outside that will compensate for the mess you built inside that your consciousness is being drawn into because it's so messy. I have these problems inside. Well, when do they come up? They come up whenever I see somebody has a house nicer than mine. I always wanted to have a nice house. My father told me, get enough money, you have the nicest house in the neighborhood. That's what you should be. People respect you. He's from the old country. Okay? And now I don't have the nice. I had the nicest house, and an idiot built a nicer house than me next door. Now I can't sleep at night. Help! Help! That is your consciousness, the divine. That's why I started here. I don't usually do that. That is the divine, universal, one consciousness of pure ecstasy throughout the universe, staring at you, talking about somebody's house. Help! Help me! I'm caught in myself. Okay? And you basically decide, I want out. Yes, the house would make this feel better, but then there'll be something else, won't there? There's never been a single time that there wasn't something else. That's just the way it works. Why? The only time you're going to feel truly at peace and truly content is to return to your seat of self. Return back to the consciousness itself, which is who you really are, and not stare at something that has a problem and then try to solve the problem you're staring at. Behind her head is Sri Yukteswar, that's Yogananda's guru, very strict, great being. He taught the following. He said this, an ignored guest quickly leaves. What does that mean? If it starts talking, just let it pass. Don't pay attention to the stupid stuff. Otherwise, you'll get caught in it, and the next thing you know, you're out there running around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to get this or get that or get that, and it's never worked. Your entire life, you said there was something, if you got it, I'd be fine. Sometimes you get it, you're not fine. Are you? How come 50% of all marriages in the United States end up in divorce? I know, I do, I studied it. When they go to the altar, there's a pact. All right, we'll do this for a few years, then we'll get divorced. Is that true? No. If you ask them sitting at that altar, you guys going to turn against each other, throw pots and pans at each other? And hire lawyers and yell, scream, all kinds of things? No. This thing you're resting on. Let's go back to Christ. What did Christ say? Don't build your house on sand. You're building your house on top of the garbage that your mind is talking to you about. You're building your house on the garbage that's your hurt heart that's not whole and complete and can't feel love properly. It needs something in order to feel love. You are love. And when they say God is love, who understands this? In other words, when you are open and your heart is open and your energy is open, you feel this force of love. That is coming from this higher place. But when you're closed, you don't feel it. You close the window. Open the blinds, light comes in. Close the blinds, there's no light. There. Open up, you'll feel this flow coming through you. Love, joy, inspiration, beautiful, beautiful things. That's because you're open. You're letting it flow. Close it down, and all you're going to feel is pain and lacking and needy and all that stuff. And so now you're going to go buy into that. The teachings are, come back to the seat of consciousness. How? I have 5 minutes left. You know how long it takes? 1 minute. Not 1 minute to do it. 1 minute to explain how to do it. Right? Are you in there? Check. It's like what you do before you take off with a plane if you're a pilot. Say, am I in here? Yes. Am I aware that I'm in here? Yes. Am I aware that there's a mind, a very personal mind, that just keeps yakety, 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 telling me what's wrong, telling me what I need, telling me how to fix it, telling me everything. Check. Okay? If I got a heart, that if somebody says a nice thing, it opens it, and it is the wrong thing, close it down. Right? Got all that. Do I have a body with its thousands of natural shocks that flesh or air to, as Hamlet put it? Do I feel all this stuff, and can it feel really good? And do I sell out because it felt good? Does it feel bad? I won't. And are there things that can happen outside that make me freak out inside? Yes or no? The things that happen outside that make me feel wonderful inside. There. Check, 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 check. And ignored guest quickly leaves. Not a suppressed guest. Not a renounced guest. That's not ignoring, is it? That's pushing it away. An ignored guest quickly leaves. If you can sit in there in the seat of consciousness, which is where you are, the sun is always in there in the sky. The fact that the rays are coming down here, fine. But the sun is always out there. It never moved. Your consciousness is back here. It is looking down on all those things I just said. Are you capable of just saying to your mind, knock yourself out? I'm going to fight with you. I'm not listen to you either. Just, there it goes. You've heard them teach clouds passing by. That's the thoughts are clouds passing by. The personal mind. What about the personal heart? Clouds passing by. You can't do that yet. But ignored guest quickly leaves. What he's basically saying is if you don't pay attention to that stuff, it's going to go away. You're the one's holding it in there. You're the one who held on to all that stuff that you couldn't handle before, and now it's making all that noise. If you let it go, how do you do that? I go into great depth in that in a new book. I go very slow and very deep. You start with very simple things. The weather. Can you handle the weather? What do you mean? Was it hot today? Did you complain? Did it change anything? If you complained, felt like 107. That's very hot. So what? The complaining doesn't change it, does it? Complaining about it, etc., it ruins you because you complained about it. Has nothing to do with anything. So you just basically start with things that are simple. The driver in front of you, the weather, what somebody said, at least you think they said. I don't know and sure what they said, but I don't like how they looked at me. I think my favorite, and it's funny, you write the book, and then I read it. I have read it. I've even listened to it because I like the teaching. I want to hear them. And there's a line in that book that is really affecting me. I really am practicing it more than I used to bother to practice it. And that line says, the moment in front of you is not bothering you. You are bothering yourself about the moment in front of you. What that person said and then walked away is not bothering you. They're gone. You're bothering yourself about it. And you start looking at it, you go, oh my God, I do that all the time. The weather happens, it's hot, I sweat a little bit, so what? Say I sweat a little bit. You bother yourself about it. It's not bothering you. It's very natural for the body to perspire. You go into an elevator and you burp. Uh-oh. The burp is not bothering you. The moment's not bothering you. You're bothering yourself about it. You get, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. This is terrible. I'm not going to eat cabbage anymore. Whatever. The driver in front of you is driving slower than you want to go. That is not bothering you. It's not bothering you. Nobody's hitting you over the head. Nobody's slapping you. Nobody's hitting your car. You're just driving down the street bothering yourself about it. That's how you free yourself. Now I'm going to stop. You don't have to do the heavy lifting to start with. You start with the low-hanging fruit, the simple things. You just sit there and say, obviously, if I'm bothering myself, I'm going to be bothered. Right? It's pretty straightforward stuff. Maybe I should stop bothering myself. Instead of out there manipulating the world so nobody drives slower than you want to or faster than you want to, or turns without putting their blinker on, or the lights, they shouldn't stop when you're in a rush, they shouldn't go red, should they? And you bother yourself about it, don't you? And then you wonder why you're bothered. That's how you work. You start at the simple things inside and you become a conscious, mindful being who notices, I don't have to do this. I don't have to participate in bothering myself and then wondering why I'm bothered. I'm going to stop bothering myself. How? By not bothering myself, by letting it go. Play with, I'm not going to bother myself anymore. There will be things that happen you have to deal with. I'm not saying nothing you have to deal with, but I guarantee you 90% of what you bother yourself about doesn't have to be dealt with. If you weren't bothering yourself about it, it wouldn't bother you. And this is how you release the hold that this lower aspect of your being has on your consciousness. You raise it. You work with yourself. And the next thing you're going to know, over time, you're going to start to feel happy. Why? Because you stop bothering yourself. All right? If somebody was punching you in the arm all the time, all day, you probably wouldn't feel too good. You're punching yourself in the head by bothering yourself. If you let go, you will naturally drift up. And the next thing you know, you'll be more conscious. What does that mean? You'll be more aware that this stuff is pulling your consciousness into it. And over time, not right away, over time, it won't do it anymore. The little stuff will just pass through. Then what used to seem like bigger stuff will seem like little stuff. You know, yes, that's right, she said that, and whatever, she had a bad day. Fine, there it goes. We'll just let it go and see if it happens again. You can do that. You can do anything you want in there. And next thing you know, you're not going to get drawn down. Your consciousness will not get pulled down into this garbage. And it will naturally float up, and you'll start to feel this joy, just a natural, just rushes of joy all the time. You can be sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden you're just filled with love, filled with joy. No reason. There is a reason, because you came closer to self, came closer to the source of your consciousness. And I already told you, that is Satchidananda, eternal conscious bliss. So the more you drift back there, the more you just feel joy all the time. All right. We took the beginning, went all the way down, and came back. Now you see the path? Now you understand what's going on? Very good. Work on these things, please. Jai Gurudev. Jai Masters.